here on the podcast. It's not a podcast, it's a stream. It's a Twitch stream, and we are what are we doing here? We have Anki open. Anki is the flashcard app, which is really fantastic. Creator dashboard and stream manager. Here we go. So we're gonna make some. Oh, Corroded Crustacean followed me. Thanks for the follow, Corroded Crustacean. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the Paint app, and we're gonna work in dark mode. I'm gonna make a new layer, and let's do this yellow. Let me grab my there we go. Not bad. And here we have XDG open ... Dropbox projects ladr.pdf. So we're going to skip some exercises. So I read some advice that said don't do every exercise, and I'm going to take that advice. I don't feel like doing the polynomials exercises, the infinite dimensional one. No, wait, I feel like I did these. I did 12 and 13. 14 and 15 really don't feel like doing. This one you can prove because you can make arbitrary combinations of the atomic functions. And arbitrary combinations of atomic functions with, like, exponentiation, addition, multiplication is going to, be arbitrary. So it's going to be infinite dimensional because the functions are the basis vectors of the vector space of continuous real-valued functions. Well, maybe 17. Maybe we'll do 17. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep progressing through the book, and I'm going to go back. Like, I want to get through maybe the end of chapter 2, to be honest, before I do, like, a lot of coding. Because I want to see what I can do. I want to see what I can do with basis and dimension. And the coding part will just be very basic. I don't think I'm going to go after, like, some of the really hard proofs. I know I've been putting them off, but yeah, suppose each P0 through Pm are polynomials in Pm of f such that Pj equals 0 for each j. Pj of 2 equals 0 for each j. Prove that P0 through Pm is not linearly independent. Alright, so I'm also going to make some flashcard decks because, like, off the top of my head, I forget what the proof obligation, the proof linear independence definition. The only choice that makes All right, let's make an Anki card, an Anki deck card. Just a dumb notification that I didn't need to check. Yeah, I should load up some Anki cards for sums of subspaces and direct sums as well. Um, so I feel like I know all this pretty well. Chapter one, I feel like I know pretty well, but I haven't been using subspaces, and I haven't been yeah, I don't know. Uh, I'm gonna make some. I'm gonna make some Anki cards though. I'm gonna do it in formal language. Um, let us use math jacks. I could do it in formal language. So what that would look like is that would look like this. It would look like for all um, and I'm going to make a new tag, linear algebra. In Math BBF. Sigma I equals 1 to m of ai vi equals 0 implies right arrow for all I in browse default preview. In oops. Maybe I'll tag it LADR. Maybe the tag will be LADR. The tag won't be linear algebra because tags are separated by space. Tags can only be, yeah, I'm going to make the tag LADR. Oops, I forgot. That would have been bad. think we would just call it list A. V in VM. A list V VM is linearly independent if. Great. I mean, you can derive this from the negation of the previous one, but I do want to do the linear dependence lemma. State the linear dependence lemma. Lind of V. Then exists J in 1.m such that span of V1 V J minus 1 V J plus 1 VM equals span V. The length of every So proof. Suppose that V is finite dimensional and U is a subspace of V. We need to prove that U is finite dimensional. We do this through the following multi-step construction. If U equals singleton 0, then U is finite dimensional, we are done. If U is not equal to singleton 0, then choose a non-zero vector V1 in U. If U equals span, then U is finite dimensional, and we are done. If U does not equal span V1 through Vj minus 1, I feel like I need to write this proof. Write a card for the proof. In a finite dimensional vector space, the length of every linearly independent list of vectors is less than or equal to the length of every spanning list of vectors. Suppose U1 through UM is linearly independent in V. Suppose also that W1 through Wn spans V. We need to prove that M is less than or equal to N. We do so through the multi-step process described below. Note that in each step we add one of the U's and one of the W's. Now, the definition of spanning a space, the span of a list of vectors is a small subspace containing all the vectors in the list. Now, we say that if span V1 through Vm equals V, we say that. Let's make this a little bigger. It's always going to have some space on the side. Let B be the list W1 through Wn, which spans V. Thus, adjoining any vector in V to this list produces a linearly dependent list because the newly adjoined vector can be written as a linear combination of the other vectors. In particular, the list U1, W1 through Wn is linearly dependent. Thus, by the linear dependence lemma, we can remove one of the W's such that the new list B of length n consists of U1 and the remaining W's span V. The list B of length n from step j minus 1 spans V. Thus, adjoining any vector to this list produces a linearly dependent list. In particular, the list of length n plus 1 is obtained by adjoining uj to B, placing it just after uj through uj minus 1, is linearly dependent. By linear dependence lemma, one of the vectors in this list is in the span of the previous ones, and because u1 through uj is linearly independent, this vector is one of the w's, not one of the u's. We can remove that w from B so that the new list B of length n, consisting of u1 through uj and the remaining w's, spans V. See, I don't remember this at all. I don't remember this proof. I don't remember really grokking this proof. I mean, I think I get it's basically an induction on the length of the list. wonder if I want to put all of these on an Anki card. Probably not. Supposing for all k in 1.m, then sigma k equals 1 to is a direct sum if and only if the only way to write UK in UK for all k in 1.m UK equals 0. All right, so let's read bases. I'm just going to do a basis. The standard basis is a basis of f to the n. The list 1, 2, 3, 5 is a basis of f2. The list 1, 2, minus 4, 7, minus 5, 6 is literally dependent in f3, but is not a basis of f3 because it does not span f3. The list 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3 spans f2, but is not a basis of f2 because it's not linearly independent. It's not linearly independent. I can't think of how it's. Oh well, it can't be linearly independent because it's greater than the dimensionality. Ooh, that's fascinating. I feel like that's fascinating. That example E. Yeah, so this has two parameters, so it's actually two dimensional, even though it's a subspace. It's a subspace of f cubed. In addition to the standard basis, f to the n has many other bases. For example, 7, 5, minus 4, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 5 are both bases of f2. The next result helps us explain why bases are useful. Recall that uniquely means in only one way. first suppose that v1 through vn is a basis of v. Let v and v, because the proof of what? The proof of the unique, written uniquely. Written uniquely. Subtracting the last equation, but equals 0, which from independence means that a1 minus c1 equals 0, which means a1 equals c1. For the other direction, suppose that every v and v can be written uniquely in the form given by 2.30, which is a equals, yeah, you get it. Clearly, this implies that v1 spans through vn spans v. To show that v1 through vn is linearly independent, suppose a1 through an and f such that 0. The uniqueness of this representation now implies that I missed that step of the proof. If this is written uniquely in this form, then we have to prove that independence and span. Clearly, this what? Did you just say that? Clearly, this implies can be written in the form. Is there a corollary to spanning? Now implies that the uniqueness. What are you sure that uniqueness implies that? I don't think the uniqueness implies that at all. A spanning list in a vector space may not be a basis because it is not linearly independent. Our next result says that given any spanning list, some, possibly none of the vectors in it can be discarded so that the remaining list is linearly independent and still spans the vector space. An example, if the vector space F2, if the procedure in the proof below is applied to the list. Suppose V1 through Vn spans V. We want to remove some of the vectors from V1 through Vn such that the remaining vectors form a basis of V. We do this through the multi-step process described below. Start with B equal to the list V1 through Vn. If V1 equals 0, delete V1 from B. If V1 is not 0, leave B changed. Basis of finite dimensional vector space. Every finite dimensional vector space has a basis. Our next result is in some sense a dual of two thirds, which is just what I was thinking. I was thinking of using the word dual on an Anki card, which said that every span is reduced to base. Now we show that given any linear independent list, we can adjoin some additional vectors. so that the extended list is still linearly independent but also spans the space. So an example in F3, suppose we start with the linearly independent list. Because V is finite dimensional, so is U. So I'm thinking of making an Anki card for this. Googling how to do circle plus LaTeX. Big O plus. All right, let's look at this proof. So because V is finite dimensional, so is U. Thus, there is a basis U1, UM of U. Of course, U1, UM is a linearly independent list of vectors in V. Hence, this list can be extended to a basis. In other words, we have V equals U plus W, where U and W are defined as above. Ah, yes, indeed. Thus, V and U plus W completing... To show that the intersection of U and W is just the singleton zero, suppose V... Yeah, that would make sense. Wow, all vector spaces that have exactly one basis. Holy crap. I think this is a valuable one that I shouldn't skip. There's only 8 exercises here. There's not going to be much to do in Calc for this chapter. Let's do number 2. I'm going to skip the standard basis because I don't need to show that. Want to show 1 linearly independent 1, 2, 3, 5. Let there exist A1, A2 in F such that A1, 1, 2 plus A2, 3, 5 equals 0. Want to show A1 equals 0 equals A2. So that's going to be A1 plus 3A2 equals 0. 2A1 plus 5A2 equals 0. And we're going to do a row reduction. Augmented matrix equals 1, 3, 2, 5, pipe 0, 0. And this is going to be R2 replaced with R2 minus 2R1. R2 minus 2R1 is 0. R2 minus 2R1 is minus 1. And that's 0. This is going to be R1 replaced with minus R1 minus 3R2. I'm not showing there's no solution. I'm showing that there's exactly one solution, that it works perfectly is what I'm showing. Minus R1 minus 3R2 is minus 1. Minus 3 minus minus 3 is 0. And then it's R1 replaced with minus R1. R2 replaced with minus R2. 1, 0, 0, 1, pipe 0, 0. Therefore, A1 equals 0, A2 equals 0. Span equals the whole list. Equals now how do I show that equals the span. Oh. What you do. So suppose x1, x2 is in f2. Want to show that x1 equals a1 plus 3a2. x2 equals 2a1 plus 5a2. This would be some expression in terms of x1 and x2. Yeah, so what you do uh, 2r1 minus r2 is... No, I got that backwards. This is going to be R2 minus 2R1. And this is going to be 5R1 minus 3R2. So 5R1 minus 3R2, that's 5 minus 6, that's minus 1. 15 minus 15, that's 0. And that's 5x1 minus 3x2. And this is going to be R2 is going to be 2 minus 2R1, that's 0. It's going to be R2 minus, it's going to be minus 1. That's going to be x2 minus 2x1. R1 replaced with minus R1. R2 replaced with minus R2. Three x2 minus 5x1. 2x1 minus x2. Therefore, I've created an existence. I've said there exists a 1, that's 3x2 minus 5x1, and there exists a 2, that's 2x1 minus x2. I mean, I can tell it doesn't span F3. Can I just apply a lemma? Watch this. Independent spanning list. Ready? Ready? It's this. This is what I was looking for. Length of linear independent list is less than or equal to length of spanning list. No, this isn't going to help me. This is just going to be true. I'm not going to verify that this is linearly independent because I don't want to. Although I should do some like non-square row reduction that doesn't work out perfectly just for practice to keep myself sharp. But I can't imagine learning this book as like your intro to linear algebra. Like I feel like I can read this book because I already know linear algebra to an extent. I mean, that last exercise was really easy. That last part of this exercise, I mean. All right, so let's show it like this. want to show that 1, 2, minus 4, 7, minus 5, 6. Want to show that span of this list does not equal R3. So what we're going to do is we're going to say so what is the structure of a proof? We're going to negate that for all x1, x2, x3 in R3, there exists A1, A2, A3 in R. We're negating this. Such that A1 plus 7A2 there's like a ghost plus A3 though. 2A1 minus 5A2 equals x2, and minus 4A1 plus 6A2 equals x3. So that's going to map to there exists an x1, x2, x3 in R3, such that for all a1, a2, a3 in R, you could also say R3 if you wanted, a1 plus 7a2 does not equal x1, or 2a1 minus 5a2 does not equal x2, or minus 4a1 plus 6a2 does not equal x3. Boo-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I mean, I'm already confused because of this A3 business. I'm already confused because of this A3. There's nothing I can do with it. So what would happen is there would be a failure. The failure would be here. Like I mean, well, we're saying I should be able to. Oh, I get it. No, I don't get it because of the not equal. So let's pick 0, 0, 0. Let's get rid of this. Oh my god, I feel like I'm getting it is a span because I'm getting like a proof by contradiction because I'm finding that, look, one of these has to be true, but yet there is, well, no, I only checked A1. So I can let A1 equal 7 and A2 equal minus 1, right? And be done. Now I can let A1 equal, and that one's not going to be true. I can let A1 equal 5 and A2 equal 2, and that one's not going to be true. Or I can disprove one of them at a time. Oh! Wait. I can't supply values. because A1, A2, A3, and R are part of my context, and I can't constrain them at all. I'm going to come back to this. I might come back to this. I might just skip it. I want to see how this list is not linearly independent. Well, I mean, we can prove it by saying if it was linearly independent, then it would All right, ready? Notice that span of 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 15. Equals R2 by lind list length less than or equal to spanning list length. Wait a minute. Is this the right way to use this? Oh, that's not going to suffice for a proof. All right, so never mind. This isn't going to work. Want to show not lind of 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 13. A list of vectors in V is called linearly dependent if it is not linearly independent. In other words, is linearly dependent if there exists an A1 through AM, not all zeros, such that blah, blah, blah. Oops. equals 0. La dee da dee dee. Oh, you know what? I forgot to zoom in. That's making this worse. Plus 4a3, 2a1 plus 5a2 plus 13a3 equals 0 equals 0. R1 minus 2R2. That's wrong. That's super wrong. R2 minus 2R1. R1 replaced with 5R1 minus 3R2. 5R1 minus 3R2 is minus 1. 15 minus 15 is 0. That's 20 minus 39. That's minus 19. Pipe 0. And this is R2 is 2 minus 2R1, that's 0. That's 5 minus 6 is minus 1. And that's 13 minus 8 is 5, 0. R1 replaced with minus R1. R2 replaced with minus R2. That's 1, 0, 19, 0. That's 0, 1 minus 5, 0. And that is A1 equals minus 19A3. A2 equals 5A3. And I believe A3 is a parameter. A1 equals minus 19p, A2 equals 5p, A3 equals p. P in reals. And over here, if we do p replaced with 1, that's A1 equals 19, A2 equals 5, A3 equals 1. Check. That's minus 19, 1, 2, plus 5, 3, 5, plus 4, 13 equals minus 19 plus 15 plus 4. That's minus 38 plus 25 plus 13 equals 4 minus 4 equals 13 minus 13 equals 0, 0. So that's how you do it. We have proven that it's not linearly independent. We have proven linear dependence of that list. Oh, I can use criterion for basis. Written uniquely. All right, let's do E. I'm not going to do G because it's super trivial. I feel like 3 would be really nutritious. I feel like 3 and 1 are going to be nutritious. I feel like these are going to be pretty routine. Although, excuse me. I don't know how F is going to go. So I feel like I know F is plausible because it has one equation. That means its dimensionality is 3 minus 1. I'm going to get some water. Be right back. I feel like putting a hat on, and I'm not even going to put my headphones back on because I don't need them. They're only plugged in to prevent feedback when I'm on video calls with my fancy new microphone. I don't know if you can notice that amazing audio quality. All right, let's do F. I'm going to skip E because I feel like E is going to be self-explanatory, and I just want to move on. But F is going to be good. So want to show that, what was it? 1 minus 1 0 and then 1 0 minus 1. Is a basis of X, Y, Z in R3 such that X plus Y plus Z equals 0. And they wrote it with F, but I just wrote it with R because, you know what, I'm just going to write it with F because that was a mistake. let x, y, z be in the set x, y, z in F3 such that x plus y plus z equals 0. No, you know what? Let's do span first. That the span equals x, y, z in F3 such that x plus y plus z equals 0. To show that a list spans is you let an element from the set and you say I already forget the condition. I'm just going to look it up again. Then there exists, this is actually, there's a hidden exist quantifier here, okay? There's a hidden exist quantifier. Want to show there exists A1, A2 such that A1 plus A2 equals X minus A1 plus 0 A2 equals Y and 0 A1 minus A2 equals Z. So what you do is you basically do row reduction, but this is going to be a row reduction that's going to have to, yeah, it's not going to be clear. I don't know these, I do a lot of square row reduction. I don't do a lot of rectangular row reduction. AM equals 1, 1, minus 1, 0, 0, minus 1. Pipe X, Y, Z. So let's do R1. No, this is going to be fine. R1 replaced with R1 plus R2 plus R3. That's going to be 0. That's going to be 0. And that's going to be X plus Y plus Z. And let's do, while we're here, R2 replaced with minus R2, R3 replaced with minus R3. It's going to be 1, 0 minus Y, 0, 1 minus Z. Talk about. So that's going to be 0 equals X plus Y plus Z, which is true. 1 equals minus Y. No, I'm sorry. A1 equals minus, A2 equals minus Y, and A3 A1 equal. That's a 0. That's a A1. A2 equals minus Z. And that's a perfectly good construction. Why? Because we already know a priori, it's in a hypothesis, that x plus y plus z equals 0. We know x plus y plus z equals 0. So that hypothesis gets proven. Then we do exists a minus y for a1 and exists minus z for a2, and then the whole thing is justified. Because that makes it be minus y minus z equals x, which is true by hypothesis. Yeah, I could have done that by inspection without row reduction, but that's the thing about row reduction, is it trains you to just trains you to shut up and calculate. It doesn't train you to take a look at the problem. So next, linearly independent. Want to show Lind under this set, okay? So this is a subspace It's Lind for this set. It should really be Lind sub, which would really pose a problem if I was doing this in Coq, because linear independence is with respect to a vector space, but a vector space might be like a subset of f to the n. Might be a particular subset of f to the n. Yeah. So as this is 1 minus 1, 0, and 1, 0 minus 1. So how do you show independence? Well, you say, suppose A1, A2 are in F. A1 plus A2 equals 0, minus A1 equals 0, minus A2 equals 0, implies A1 equals 0 equals A2. And this we get by inspection. Right, this we get by inspection. Minus A1 equals 0, minus A2 equals 0. Because of the zeros in the thing. So this is done. We have proven this. Good job. Alright, I'm tempted to do E before I move on. I should move on, but I'm tempted to do E. I've learned a lot of Coq doing this project. I really have. I mean, I have been writing Coq for the past couple weeks, but... Well, no, I wrote a lot of Coq last week. I learned a lot about sections and modules last week. It took the whole 3 hours, darn it. The week prior to that, I skipped for AI Safety Camp. Wait, last week I skipped for AI Safety Camp. The week prior to that is when I did the sections and modules. Ooh, time flies. I feel like I want to do E, y'all. No, I don't want to do E. E is going to be trivial. E is going to be trivial. I'm going to do E verbally, okay? So let's do E verbally. That's a good exercise. So span. So let XXY be in F3. Let XXY be in this set. We want to show that there exists an A1, A2, and A2 such that, A1 equals X and A2 equals Y. That's it. That's done. On the flip side, if A1 plus 0 equals 0 and A2 plus 0 equals 0 and A1 plus 0 equals 0 and A2 plus 0 and 0 plus A2 equals 0, then A1 equals 0 equals A2, which is also trivial. Yeah, we did it visually in like less than 5 seconds. That was nothing. We didn't want to spend time with that. This is going to be tricky. Oh, I do not want to do this. This I do not want to do, baby. Okay, let's do it. This is hard. I don't know how to do this. Look at me looking at my phone because I'm running away from my problem. Oh, goodness. So I'm looking at this and thinking about it, right? And I'm thinking about how there's an implied set of vectors, and it could be three vectors in R3. Oh, wait a minute. It's going to be three vectors in R3 because there's two conditions, and it's going to be 5 minus 2. It's going to be 5 minus 2. Extend the basis in part A to a basis of R5. So I'm going to have to use that algorithm. Then I'm going to have to find it. Oh. This is really going to use a lot of the techniques that we learned in this chapter. If I can do it. Oh, this seems wrong. I should be able to disprove this. Number 5, I should be able to disprove. Number 6, I should be able to prove. I feel like I want to get warmed up by doing 6. And 3, like I need more practice, basically. Well, that's... Find all vector spaces that have exactly one basis. I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna type a note to a Discord I'm in real quick. Does anyone know the description of all vector spaces that have exactly one basis? If V is a vector space, when is a subset U of... When is a subset U subset V also a vector space? When V's 0, talking about. Okay, x1 equals 3x2. Think, Hudoc, think. This would be that every... x3 equals 7x4. This would be that... It must be nice. It must be nice. All right, let's look. Ready? We're going to look back at these exercises, namely this one, right? So this is showing me that yeah, we never figured this out, did we? We never figured this one out. But this should be fine. This one's a better example. So what this one is showing is this is a better example. So we're working from the conditions back to the vectors instead of working from the vectors to the conditions. Obviously. I mean, we know that this set has a basis. Oh, crap. That was dumb of me. Hold on a second. Is everything back to normal? Yeah, it's like nothing happened. Why did you try to do a spin? You're so stupid. You know that this cable's right here. You should have brought an American power strip. Oh well. All right, so what we're doing is a basis for x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. In, this is going to be R5, right? In R5 such that x1 equals 3x2 and x3 equals 7x4. So what we want here x3 equals 7q, x4 equals q, x5 equals r. P, Q, R, in R. We're going to work backwards. This is going to be x1 equals 3x 2. x3 equals 7x4. This is going to look like, ready? One minus 3, 0, 0, 0. 1 minus 7, 0, and then 0, and then 0. It must be nice. It must be nice. And then I think there's a third row of zeros. Pipe 0, 0. Is there a third row of zeros or not? So it's basically some set of vectors that row reduces to this. But it shouldn't be, it's got to be, it shouldn't be 2 rows, it should be 3 rows. But of course the issue here is that we're doing this on the X's, we're not doing this on the A's. I don't even know in my head right now if I'm attacking independence or span. Must be nice. Am I attacking independence or span? I like this working upwards thing. It's working really nicely. This is the not independence proof. Ah! This would be not independence. This is the not independence proof. So what's the end state of an independence proof? The end state of an independence proof is going to be A1 equals A2 equals A3 equals 0. And I know it's going to be A3 because there's going to have to be a scalar for each of 3 vectors. I know I'm going to have 3 vectors because, well, there's some reasoning because there's 2 conditions and it's an R5. There's some reasoning A1 V1 plus A2 V2 plus A3 V3 equals 0. Now, A1 and A2 and A3 are quantified. V1, V2, V3 are supposed to be known. I just don't happen to know them yet. But in the structure of what I'm doing, they're supposed to be known. So that would show us independence if we could. Let's try to start with span. So what span does is span starts up here. V1, V2, V3 equals X in R5 such that X1 equals 3X2 and X3 equals 7X4. Do, 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 do. So, let X in X such that X1 equals 3X2, X3 equals 7X4. We know that X1 equals 3X2 and X3 equals 7X4. Want to find V1, V2, V3 such that what's the condition for showing span again? That there exists A1, A2, A3. Such that equals x. So let's work this. We want to show that A1, V11, V2, V12, V13, V14, V15 plus A2, V21, V22, V23, V24, V25 plus A3, V31, V32, V33, V34, V35 equals, ready? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 3x2, x2, 7x4, x4, x5. So I've encoded that information. So this is a path that will bring me to all the solutions. I don't know if I want to do that. I would be happy with just one solution, but it looks like procedurally, algorithmically, the most intuitive thing to do is to start pursuing all the solutions. And how would we do this? Is there exists A1, A2, A3 such that so the V's are fixed. Now this is a matrix, isn't it? This is like matrix multiplication. It reminds me of matrix multiplication, but is it really? Five rows, 3 columns. So this could mean V11, V12, V13, V14, V15, V21, V23, V24, V22, V23, V24, V25, V31, V32, V33, V34, V35. So this might be true. So it's A1. So what I could do here is I could do A1V11 plus A2V21 plus A3V31 equals 3x2. I mean, I'm presuming independence, aren't I? Am I not? Hmm. 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 This chair is starting to squeak. This is a bad chair, by the way. I don't know if I told you that. But this chair is really bad. So what we can do here is we can basically do... I should have done UVW instead of V1, V2, V3. Now, is that going to be sufficient to show that V11 equals 3 V12? Let's just try it. Yeah, let's just try it. And this is going to be A1 V1 3 plus A2 V 3 plus A3 V 3 equals 7A1 V1 4 plus 7A2 V24 plus 7A3 V34. I'm proud of this one. If this works, I'll be really proud of it. So this is saying that V13 equals 7V14. V23 equals 7V24. And V33 equals 7V34. V111 equals 3V12. V21 equals 3V22. And V31 equals V3. 3V 32. And the rest are total freedom. So let me erase this. So how many unique numbers do I have? So these relations cut down the number of unique numbers I have. We're going to start working upwards. V11 equals 3H. V21 equals 3V22. So 21, so 3J, J, 3L, L. And 1,3 is 7B. A equals 7B. 7B, B. 7D, D. 7F, F. L, M, N, O. I think this is it. I think this is it. I think this is it. So what are we going to do? Seven BBM. Three JJ 70D. Three LL 7F. Well, that's going to be span. Is it going to be dependent? It's going to be dependent as long as H, J, and L are different, as long as B, D, and F are different. All right, so now that we know this, let me see if I can do this. Oh God, it's going to be a huge row reduction, isn't it? I might not finish this tonight. I might have to start fresh. I like what I derived so far. And I took a note in my copy of the book. Let me just write it down here too, in case I forget that it's a note. I mean, I'm not going to forget. It's right there in the PDF, but. Well, maybe I can show independence. Maybe I can show independence this way. Or I can use the showing of independence to find particular instances of H, J, and L. I mean, I might not find the most permissive possible conditions. That makes it difficult. I want to find the most permissive possible conditions on the values of H, B, M, J, J, D, N, L, F, O. H, B, M, J, D, N, L, F, O. That's 9. It's 9 variables. I'll be right back. All right, let's just play with independence to get warmed up for next time. If A1 3HH 7BBM plus A2 3JJ 7DDN plus A3 3LL 7FFO equals 0, then A1 equals A2 equals A3 equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up 3H, 3J, 3L, HJL, B, seven B, 7D, 7F, B, D, F, M, N, O. Pipe 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And we're going to do that row reduction. That row reduction indeed. I want to do this in Maple, right? I should install Maple. I still have 11 minutes. I'm not going to make progress on this row reduction, because whatever progress I make, I'm just going to have to do over again. Let's read on. Dimension. Although we have been discussing finite dimensional vector space, we have not yet defined the dimension of such an object. How should the dimension be defined? A reasonable definition should force the dimension of Fn to equal n. Notice that the standard basis of Fn has length n. Thus, we are tempted to define the dimension as the length of a basis. However, a finite dimensional vector space in general has many different bases, and our attempted definition makes sense only if all bases in a given vector space have the same length. Fortunately, that turns out to be the case, as we now show. Basis length does not depend on basis. Any two bases of a finite dimensional vector space have the same length. Proof. Suppose V is finite dimensional. Let B1, B2 be two bases of V. Then B1 is linearly independent in V and B2 spans V. So the length of B1 is at most the length of B2. Interchanging the roles of B1 and B2, we also state the length of B2 is most length of B1. Thus length of B1 equals length of B2 as desired. That is a beautiful proof. I love that proof. I think that proof is gorgeous. Now that we know that any two bases of a finite dimensional vector space have the same length, we can formally define the dimension of such spaces. Dimension dim V. The dimension of a finite dimensional vector space is the length of any basis of that vector space. It's the length of any basis of the vector space. The dimension of V, if V is finite dimensional, is denoted by dim V. Dim f to the n equals n because the standard basis of f to the n has length n. Yes, those are examples. Every subspace Suppose V is finite dimensional and U is subspace B. Think of a basis of U as a linearly independent list in V, and think of a basis of V as a spanning list in V. Now use 2.23 to conclude that dim U is less than dim P. Yeah, that's true. What a nice proof. Now we're getting somewhere. Suppose dim of V equals N and V1 through Vn is linearly independent in V. The list V1 through Vn can be extended to a basis of V. However, every basis of V has length N, so in this case the extension is the trivial one, meaning that no elements are adjoined to V1 through Vn. In other words, V1 through Vn is a basis of V as desired. Da 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 da. Matrices. Products. Clearly, each of the polynomials 1, x minus 5 squared, and x minus 5 cubed is in U. All right. Suppose dim v equals n, and the list v1 Vn can be reduced to a basis of V. However, every basis of V is length n, so the case of structure is trivial, meaning that no elements are deleted from V1 through Vn. In other words, V1 through Vn is a basis of V as desired. Unbelievable. All right, I'll see everybody later. See everybody next week. Thanks for coming.